I walk out there and, automatically I see Joe Alt and Blake Fisher. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are mountains. Then you have Audric Estime next to me taking the ball. Like, it's like, wow, like this is the real deal. Like these are guys that are grown men that are, making plays. And I'm like, all right, this is college football.
Here come the Irish. What a run! Touchdown! Play of the year for the Irish.
Bonus episode. Hey, welcome. I'm Corey Robinson, the host of the Indy on NBC Podcast, and we're going to get right into this. Sun Bowl. Notre Dame taking on Oregon State in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, December 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern. I already have a plan. I already have my little couch set up. It's going to be great. But I will say that a lot has happened in the State of the Union. I'm not very accustomed to giving these kind of speeches, but essentially, in a broad stroke, a lot of people have opted out, including starting quarterback Sam Hartman, Joe Alt, Blake Fisher. So we're going to have a new look on the offensive line. Cam Hart, Maris Leofau, Audric Estime. So you're thinking, okay, wait a second, isn't there like a lot of starters? Yes, it is a lot of starters. But that also means that a lot of players will then have the opportunity to step up and show what they can do. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, he opted in, and he's been named a captain. J.D. Bertrand opted in. So these are a lot of developments we need to talk about. Also, transfer portal, a lot of people left. Chris Tyree, Tobias Merriweather, Rico Flores Jr., Braylon James. So that's 4 wide receivers gone. Holden Stays, tight end. Nana Osafo-Mensah left. So there's a lot of outgoing, but then Duke quarterback Riley Leonard came in. So there's been a lot of movement. I know that's confusing. Some people also have left coaching posts. Coach Jared Parker took the head coaching job at Troy. I mean, a lot of things have happened, but we're still here. And I'm still excited to introduce you to our guest, the new starting quarterback of this game, Steve Angeli. He's an interesting guy. We talked a little bit beforehand about his study of the game. He absolutely loves the game. Grew up a Cowboys fan in New Jersey, God bless him. And he was telling me about how he studied Roger Staubach. And I was like, you know who's Roger Staubach? I love Roger. I was like, how do you know who Roger Staubach is? A lot of my peers don't even know who this guy is. So I mean, it's a good conversation. So I hope you enjoy it. And without any further ado, Steve Angeli. Hey, pleasure to be with you, Steve. So let's just jump right in here. It's a ghost town on campus. How are you preparing for the bowl game in this environment that is, I mean, it's your first career start, and it's like the weirdest environment. It's not a normal game week. You have like weeks and weeks to prepare. How's it been for you?
It's been great. Just getting with the guys throughout bowl prep. A lot of new faces, a lot of changes, but it's been good. Coach Freeman's message has been, right foot, left foot, one foot in front of the other. Stuff's going to be happening all throughout this time. You just got to keep pushing, keep putting in the work. So it's been good to have a lot of time, with not, having to deal with the school duties anymore. I'm able to kind of spend more time in the film room, watch more stuff, meet a little bit more with the guys. So it's been good with the preparation, and, I'm excited.
It's always one of those things that blows my mind when I think about like how one prepares in different scenarios. Has the way you prepared thus far been different than the way that you prepared in the past, just as far as like how you go through the film and how you watch now that you know you're going to be the guy?
No, it really does not change. Having Sam here was a huge help for me, a guy that's experienced, a guy that's played a lot of ball in college and, knows how to succeed and be successful. So him teaching me the right way and kind of his routine, I've really adapted that and, followed that. So really the thing that I kind of, stay true to is my routine and my prep. I feel like it doesn't really change because even when you're the backup, you're one play away and you got to prepare like you're the starter and have the mindset you're a starter going through the week and going into Saturday. Definitely.
How do you balance that idea of like, I can make a game changing play at any moment. I just need the opportunity. And you go and I've seen you throw dimes. Like, I told you before we got started, I was like, man, a couple of times I'm like, okay, Steve, I see you throwing dimes. How do you, when you were early in the season, you get your moment, you go back on the bench, you get your moment. How do you stay with that mentality of I'm still the guy, I'm still gonna be confident, and when it's ready, I'm gonna go out there and blow it open?
I think it's a testament to just, treating every rep and every practice as you're the guy, and meeting with Gino and, obviously Coach Parker throughout the season, like everything that was going on, I was, every Friday meeting, I'd have my highlights on the call sheet, send it to Coach Parker, and he would know my plays that I liked when going in. So I just trained my mind to get into that aspect of, okay, well, my time's coming and it's time to go. And, it's kind of the cliche saying, like, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my mindset of what it was. I'm prepared like I'm the guy. So when my time's called, I'm going to be ready for the opportunity.
Let's talk about Coach Freeman. You mentioned him a little earlier in our conversation. What has your relationship been like with him? I know he's a defensive guy, but the head coach quarterback room thing I always find very fascinating.
Yeah, it's been great. My relationship over my 2 years here has grown tremendously with Coach Free. He's great on the field, but especially off the field with the things that he's been able to teach me as a man, his experiences as a husband, a father, those, life lessons that, he's been able to teach me and kind of preach to me have been very valuable. And then obviously as a defensive minded guy, there's little intricacies that I can pick his brain of, stuff and tells and stuff that he looks for. And then, seeing how can I translate those back into offensive terms and, use those when I'm out on the field. But Coach Free is awesome. I have a lot of love for him and everything he does for me and the program. And, he's the best coach there is and a great leader.
And there's been a lot of movements. I know you can't talk about necessarily everything, but just as far as building rapport with your offensive weapons, there's been a lot of transfers out. But how do you just kind of take control of that locker room and build that rapport with the group you have now?
I think one, it goes, just putting the work in. Guys see you in the facility. Guys know that, you want to win and you want to do the right thing and end the season on the right note of, getting to 10 wins and winning the Sun Bowl. So I think putting in the work, one, earns that respect from your teammates. And two, like I said, showing that my prep and, my routine resembles that of a starter. So, guys kind of notice it a little bit and understand why I'm doing it. And then, when my reps come in practice before I was a starter, I would treat those like those are ones reps. Those are games reps. Like I'm in Notre Dame Stadium getting ready to take a snap. So kind of that routine of what's been going on. And, those guys that, are new out there. I've been making plays all throughout bowl prep. They've been doing a great job. They've been studying really hard and they know what, what this opportunity is, individually for everybody and also as a team. So I think my relationship with them, was close and now is even closer. And our offense and that group of guys, our unit, have been close all year. And really the thing that has helped the much is the love we have for each other and kind of how we go about our days, the confidence we have in each other to make plays. And, I love those guys and I love my teammates.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of new faces on the receiving core, a lot of new faces on the offensive line as well. So I'm curious because, you seem like a very thoughtful guy. So it's going to be kind of out of left field. But when you think about that first time when you saw, like, okay, this is a different level. It could be when you were a little kid too, but like this game is being played at a different level. For me, it was when I went to like a Houston Texans practice and I was like, this is what NFL looks like. When was that moment for you where you're like, wow, this is elite?
I want to say my first spring ball practice. I mean, I walk out there and, automatically I see Joe Alt and Blake Fisher. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are mountains. Like this is unbelievable. And then, you see Mike Mayer run a route or block a guy an inside run. Like my first team reps was like an inside run rep. So I'm down there and like the call's getting yelled at me. I'm like, all right, let's get lined up. Let me try and snap this thing. Then you have Aldrick Estime next to me taking the ball. Like it's those guys that are going to be playing on Sundays or are playing on Sundays right now. Like, it's like, wow, like this is the real deal. Like these are guys that are grown men that are, making plays. And I'm like, well, all right, this is college football.
And to play at an iconic program like Notre Dame, I mean, I would love to hear your journey and how you got here. But I mean, you think about iconic programs in the world of sports, you might throw like, Real Madrid, you might throw Barcelona. I mean, but in football, it's Cowboys and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And I know you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
So what was the process like for you to choose Notre Dame?
Growing up in Jersey, there's a lot of guys that go to Notre Dame. When I was a little kid, my brother played with Brandon Wimbush, Jason and Justin Adamilola. So, I knew guys when I was a little kid, like, because I was a ball boy for them. Like, I knew guys that were going to go play at Notre Dame. So I always thought it was cool. My great uncle played at Notre Dame. So my mom was always a big fan. Like, Notre Dame games and football were kind of always around in my family. And then, as you go through recruiting and schools come in and out and, Notre Dame comes to my school and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is Notre Dame. Like, you hear about, the most national championships, All-Americans, Heismans, like all of that stuff that glorifies this program. Like, you're like, wow, this place is special. Like, I wonder why so many people come here. And then coming out to visit, meeting the coaching staff, and just, that first time you step on campus, like I can still remember it. Like you see that dome in person, you see touchdown Jesus, you're like, wow, like this is a special place. There's really not anywhere else, on a college campus that you could see all this stuff.
Do you remember the first time when you laced it up and put the helmet on and you were going to go get that first play call out in there under the center? What was that moment like for you?
Are you talking about
in Notre Dame Stadium as the quarterback? What was that? Do you remember what that feeling was like?
Yeah, I mean it was pretty cool. Obviously my freshman year taking a few snaps, like kind of meaningful snaps that I took, like this year in Tennessee State, like going out there and hearing my name getting called and like just kind of taking it all in. You stand there for a sec and then you got to kind of come back to reality. But I can still remember that moment and like that picture in my mind of, wow, like this is a really cool experience.
So what do you want to do beyond the game of football? I mean, what are your passions and interests? I mean, this is years later down the road, but I mean, have you started to think about it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love the game of football. Coaching is definitely something that I would consider. Also, sports broadcasting.
Nice.
I love to talk about sports. I love to kind of analyze. And like I told you before, I feel like I'm a big student of the game, and kind of football is kind of almost that goes on 24/7 for me. So I would love to get in some sort of sports broadcasting or, sports talk.
And I know Sam said the same thing when I asked him. He's like, I want to do TV.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what is that relationship like between you and Sam to learn from someone who's had so much experience and, like you said, success at that position?
Sam has been awesome, from the day he kind of stepped on campus in those couple of weeks when, you're kind of feeling out something new and seeing who somebody is. Like spending only 10, 12 months with him, it's felt like I've, known him since I was in high school. Like he has taught me so much. He has been a huge help to me as, a player, as a quarterback, but also as a person, as a man, and things that you need to learn in life, lessons that you need to understand of playing quarterback. And especially at, a university like this where, football is a big matter and, there's a lot of stakes into it, but he's one of my best friends and he's a great mentor for me. So having that relationship with him was awesome. And, we pretty much talk almost every day. He really took me under his wing and showed me a lot of stuff. And, it's been great that now, my time has come and, I've learned a lot from him and I'm ready to translate it.
One thing I've always really admired about Sam was his poise in the pocket. I told him so. And I'm curious, like with you, what is like in your opinion, your highlight of, this is my key thing? For me, it was like I said, I just like Sam was always cool. I was like, how's that guy all cool all the time? Like no matter what's going on. What's like, oh man, like that's Steve's thing. He's always whatever.
I think it would be confidence, and, kind of cool, calm, collective, confident, cool, calm, collective. I think like those are things that would kind of be on my level and something that would be to describe me. It's hard to kind of say for myself, it's easier when somebody else would kind of label it for me. But, as a quarterback, I feel like you have to have those traits, whatever's going on, you got to be able to weather that storm and, lead your guys because everyone's looking to you for the call. You're the first guy that's going to be touching the ball when the play snaps other than the center. So you got to have those traits. You got to have that confidence. And I feel like you got to have that mentality.
I'm excited to see the confidence played out at the Sun Bowl. One last thing before we head out. I just want to talk about campus life because Notre Dame is a very special place in that regard, how it's like the football team isn't necessarily separate. So what are your favorite classes that you've taken at Notre Dame? Do you have a favorite professor?
Professor Chris Stevens. I don't know if you know Chris Stevens.
Yeah, of course.
Professor Stevens' class. It was a sports management class. I really enjoyed learning like a guy that, played basketball at Notre Dame and then, went on to another level, but also had a lot of success in the business world, kind of hearing his real life stories and, how the connections and the network of Notre Dame, and especially being an athlete here, it takes you, years and years on as you graduate and leave this place.
And then finally, what is your favorite campus tradition?
I got to say, the victory march, like walking in the stadium, like the player walk, I feel like that's super cool. Like I used to see it on College Game Day when I was a kid. And then like now I'm one of those guys walking through it, the place is crowded, the bands, playing the songs and, it's really cool. It's a really nice kind of couple minute walk before you get in the stadium and get ready to go.
Yeah, soak it all in, man. It happened so fast. Well, I'm excited to watch you do your thing out there on the Sun Bowl, man. And thank you so much for taking the time to come chat with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so Oregon State, they're going to be without their quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei. He entered the transfer portal. So Oregon State's 8-4. They're looking for the 9th win. Notre Dame's trying to get to that double-digit 10. Like Steve said, this is something worth playing for. Not only to cap the season off the right way, but almost in my mind, the way I see the bowl games these days are like, here's the new cast. Because everyone's opting out or they're transferring. So this is a great opportunity to kind of get to know some of the younger players who've been waiting, like bullets in the chamber, waiting for their opportunity, and to see them kind of break out and then get us excited for the next season and for spring ball. So without any other, this is it. Bonus episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be there on my couch watching the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, December 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern. I hope you will too. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And I really hope that we can enter into 2024 with a beautiful win. Wouldn't that be something? One of the best holiday gifts. Go Irish.